So today I'm collaborating with Janet from the Crafty Rat. She's been creating beautiful fused glass for years, while I've only used my little microwave kiln a handful of times. So will my creations turn out wearable or just colourful blobs? Let's find out. Now when I spotted this beginner's microwave glass kiln kit on Amazon, I had to give it a go, and it was under £60. The kiln itself measures around 19 centimetres across, so it's compact enough to store away when you're not using it. It comes with some heat resistant gloves, as well as this metal stand to protect your work surface while the kiln cools. I was actually quite surprised by how much was included to get you started. Inside the kit you'll also find this thin fire paper, which helps to stop the glass sticking to the kiln shelf. It has a rough side and a smoother side, and despite using it a few times now, I still manage to second guess myself every single time. There's also a selection of fusible glass in different colours and sizes, and after chatting with Janet, I took another look at the packaging and realised that it actually lists the COE number, which turns out to be really important. So COE stands for Coefficient of Expansion, and in simple terms, it's how much the glass expands and contracts as it heats and cools. Mixing different COEs can cause the glass to crack, sometimes straight away and sometimes much later, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Also included is this basic glass cutter and a bottle of oil to help the cutter glide more smoothly across the glass. So these next two tools didn't come with the kit, but I bought some running pliers and some grows-in pliers separately. These make snapping and shaping the glass much easier. So before we get started, Janet pointed out something that I'd completely missed. That tiny little COE number on the packet nearly caught me out. So before you cut or fuse anything, just double check that all of your glass has the same COE. It's a 2-second check that could save your finished piece from cracking later. And if you'd like to know more about why that happens, Janet explains it brilliantly in her video, so I'll leave the link in the card above and also down in the description. Hi, I'm Tony and welcome to Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts, where I love trying new crafts, learning from talented creators like Janet, and showing that you don't have to be an expert just to give it a go. And now for the fun bit. For this first pendant, I'm keeping things quite simple, so I'm using some of the leftover offcuts that come with the kit. Not only do they make a really nice pattern, but they're perfect for practicing without worrying about wasting larger glass pieces. So I started by cutting a piece of black glass to use as my base, and next came the fun part, choosing the colours and arranging the smaller pieces on top. Now apparently there is a science to this, and Janet explains this a lot better in her video. But when it's fused, glass naturally wants to settle around 6mm thick. Because this design is much thinner, the edges should soften and round over nicely instead of spreading out too much. Now with everything lined up, it's time to pop the lid on the kiln and carefully place it in the microwave. To start with, I set my microwave for 3 minutes. But don't copy my timing, every microwave is different and the type, size and thickness of the glass will affect how long it needs to fire. And once the firing was complete, I carefully lifted the kiln out using the heat-resistant gloves and placed it on the metal stand. Then we wait, and if you know me, you'll know that patience isn't exactly one of my strong points. So without removing the lid, I left it to cool for about an hour. It really does take patience, but opening it too early can cause thermal shock. This is where a sudden change in temperature cracks the glass. But to be honest, I was quite buzzing that I hadn't messed this up. I've got to say, I'm quite pleased with it. So while that one continued cooling, I decided to make another design. This time I cut the glass into smaller pieces and stacked them a little higher to see how much it changed the finished result. So I started with another black base before adding 2 beautiful milliflora flower pieces. These little slices are gorgeous and they look like little tiny flowers trapped inside the glass. For these pieces, I was thinking more along the lines of earrings, so I repeated exactly the same pattern on the second one. The only problem was, they didn't stay like this. For my next piece, I wanted more of a green and white design, so I'm using a green base with a couple of white glass circles. And once everything was in place, I pop it back into the microwave kiln for another firing. By now, the first piece had cooled, so I gently peeled away the thin fire paper. And what I have realised is that if you put the paper on the wrong side, you tend to get these little fibres stuck to the back of your piece. Put it on the right way though, and it peels away much more cleanly. Now so far I was really pleased with this first one. Those rounded edges and glossy finish really make it look more professional than I expected. I even surprise myself sometimes. So now to finish off the pendant. So I'm using these diamond glass files which I bought separately, and I'm smoothing all the edges to try and shape it to fit the bezel. But this is way too big than any bezel I've got. So So these files work really well, but I think I aged about 3 years filing this one. Anything bigger, and I think I'm going to have to experiment with my Dremel instead. But if I do, I'll use a diamond bit and keep it cool with water while grinding the glass. That's definitely something I'll be trying in a future video. So with the first few attempts of this kiln, I turned them into little pieces of jewellery. But I've somehow collected owls, butterflies, dragonflies. Apparently if it can hold glass, I need one. And these are just some of the effects you can create. This is also one of the pieces that I made previously, and I wanted to see if it would fit a bezel. And I'd say that's a pretty good match. So another type of glass that came with the kit is this dichroic glass. But look at the difference that a clear cap makes. The piece on the right has a layer of clear glass fused over the top, which really brings out those vibrant shimmering colours. And although the one without the clear cap still looks nice, there really is quite a big difference between the two. So by this point I was having far too much fun to stop, so I made a green and white and black piece for my turtle bezel, a red millefori pendant, and finally a pair of black and white earrings, each one needing a slightly different firing time depending on its size and thickness. So once the kiln had worked its magic, it was time to see what we'd made. This time I'd finally put the thin fired paper the right way up, and you can see how much more easily this peels away, therefore a lot less clean up. And these little black and white earrings turned out exactly as I'd hoped. Mind you, this pair didn't quite go to plan because one of the little flowers slipped off while I was moving the kiln into the microwave, and it ended up fusing completely separate. Sometimes happy accidents turn out even better, because this is the perfect size for this dragonfly bezel. So these next few pieces are some that I made in an earlier firing, including this pendant and my turtle. But this mottled green one that I've just done has to be one of my favourites. It almost looks like a real turtle shell. I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do with this green one though. Any ideas? My biggest problem is that this piece is way too large for the bezel, so I need to find a quicker way of shaping the glass than spending hours with those hand files. That might have to become another experiment and another video. But while I was at it, I thought I'd see if this earlier piece would fit inside another turtle bezel as well. So now we turn them into jewellery pieces. So I'm starting with this wire stone holder, but unfortunately this piece was just a little too big, so instead I used this piece with the single flower, and it fitted bang on. But getting those wires neatly wrapped around that glass was another story. Every time I thought I'd got it, the glass would move. So here I do it in about 30 seconds. In reality, it took me closer to an hour. But after a few more adjustments and one final squeeze, I absolutely love how this one's turned out. Considering that little flower wasn't even supposed to be on its own in the first place, it's funny how the pieces that go wrong sometimes end up becoming your favourites. Now on to the first turtle. So this blue and red piece was one of my very first pieces I made, and with just a little more filing on the one corner, it was finally starting to fit this turtle bezel. And when I tried it in, there was literally just the tiniest corner stopping it from fitting perfectly. So after another age of sanding, it fits really snug. In fact, it's wedged in so well that I can even turn it upside down without it falling out. It still needs securing, but that's definitely a good start. For the red, yellow and black pendant, I decided to keep things really simple and use one of these adjustable necklace nets. And once I'd tightened the bead around the glass, I actually liked how it looked. Now back to the first pendant we made. For this one, I'm using a flat back bail. I had a few different shapes to choose from, but this semi-round one fitted the back really nicely. The back of the glass was still a little rough though, so I'm adding a really thin layer of UV resin just to smooth everything out before curing it underneath my lamp. Once it's cured, I lightly roughed up the area where I wanted the bail to sit. I've actually found that nail glue works surprisingly well for this, so that's what I used before holding it in place until it had fully set. For the dragonfly, I'm adding a little bit of UV resin inside the bezel before placing the fused flower into the centre. Because the glass is transparent, the resin helps hold everything securely without being noticeable. And for the next turtle, I'm adding a small amount of nail glue around the inside of the bezel, making sure that there's enough to hold it firmly without squeezing out of the sides. Then it was just a case of carefully lining everything up and pressing the glass in place. This was definitely worth taking my time here because once it's centred, it really brings that whole turtle to life. Now all that was left was to add the chains, but the necklaces wouldn't fit directly through the bezels, so I'm using these little pinch bails instead. With these, you gently open them up with a pair of pliers, slide them through the hole in the pendant, and then squeeze them closed again. Well, the only problem is you do need to make sure they're the right way round, because the first one I managed to put on backwards. So off it came again, turned it round the right way, and that was much better. Then all that was left was threading the chain through the pinch bail, and I repeated exactly the same process for all of the necklaces. Then finally, it was time to finish the earrings, and trust me, these were a right pain. So first I give the edges a quick sand before attaching some smaller flat back bails. So I found that UV resin works much better than any of the glues I'd tried, and a cocktail stick made the perfect little handle while I lined everything up. Once they were in place, it was under the UV lamp for a quick cure, and before adding the earring hooks, I'm giving the backs one final coat of UV resin. This is going to help lock everything in place and leaves a much neater finish around all the back and edges. Then I just repeated it for the opposite earring, using a cocktail stick to get into all the gaps behind the pinch bail. Now all I had to do was add the earring hooks. Easy, right? Well, not for me. I swear these tiny jump rings have a personal vendetta against me, and it took me about 40 minutes to do the pair, and I've honestly lost count of how many times I've dropped them. But here they are, my finished pair of Millie 4 earrings. I really do like them. Unfortunately though, not every piece was a success, and this one had cracked after firing. I'm still not entirely sure why, and it's also developed an unusual texture around the white glass. I might be able to rescue it by firing it again, or it might just become another lesson learned. Either way, I wanted to leave it in because not every project goes perfectly the first time. So I might be the beginner with the little microwave kiln, and Janet's got all the fancy kit with the experience to go with it. So if you want to see what fused glass really looks like in the hands of an expert, go and watch her video next. Her work is absolutely incredible, and I'll leave the link in the description below. So I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into glass fusing. So all that's left is for me to leave you with some glamour pictures. I've been Tony from Georgie's Gorgeous Gifts. Stay safe, happy crafting, and bye for now.
With that clever maker game. Microwave can glow in little pieces coming through. We got color in the corners and a wow in every view. Bring the neighbors closer, let the good ideas run. 2 channels in the same room making magic out of fun.